Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Hello and welcome to Claws to the Wall. Today is a very special edition because it is International Women's Day. So as you can see, we have a full women's cast and crew. My name's Tabby. We have Preslie here and Kayla. So we're gonna start off talking about a woman in sport who's inspired us, and then we're gonna move along, talk about some women here at Texas State and San Marcos. We're gonna preview the softball team a little bit, and then after that, we'll just see where it goes. So, who here has somebody they want to talk about?
Do you want to go?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I picked Simone Biles. Like, I'm a huge fan of gymnastics. Like, watching the Olympics, I only watch gymnastics. I'm sorry. And I just loved her, especially when she came on the scene. Before that, it was the Fab Five. And then when she came, I was like, whoa, it's a whole new level. And I really appreciated her after the Tokyo Olympics, and she was going through her mental health.
Yeah.
I appreciate that she was open about it, because that's normal, especially like this day and age. Everyone has something, and I like how she was open about it. Yeah, and she just inspires me to keep going. Like, even the greats have their off days, and so they're normal.
No, I thought it was so crazy when she was receiving all that backlash
Right.
on mental health stuff. It's like, she's a world-class athlete, and she's one of the best of them. Like, just her athleticism is unmatched in any sport. She's pushing herself every day, and I mean, you're at home working a 9 to 5, complaining about her.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people in her position to have these people watching. Like, it's important to recognize, like, if something is wrong, you address it. You do what you need to do for you, and it's like, I just think that for her to do that, it really inspired more people that, okay, well, if she sees something is wrong with her and she needs a day, like, she's human, you know? It's like, she's still human at the end of the day, and if we all just need to step back, then that's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, you're gonna get through it. And I mean, she's like engaged now. Like, she's like living life, so it's not like this like ruined her or anything. And so I think it's really good that she acknowledged that.
Yeah, I'm glad she powered through it, because when you're getting flack for mental health, I mean, that doesn't help it at all.
No.
Like, they're mad at her for taking care of herself.
Yeah.
Like, she could have gone out there and hurt herself, and she'd be out for who God knows how long. So I mean, I applaud her. Like, do what you got to do. Come back stronger. So,
No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I picked Maria Taylor. She's a sportscaster for NBC, and she was actually the first one that I kind of, whenever I decided this is what I want to do, she was the one I started looking into. Like, I just started watching her interviews. She has an interview with Coach Saban, and they just play a round of basketball, and, like, as they're playing, she's, like, just interviewing, and it's such a fun interview to watch, and I bet to be a part of. And so she's covered college football, college volleyball, men's and women college basketball, NBA, and NFL. So she's, like, been there, done that, seen it all. She had her first Super Bowl appearance.
Oh, my goodness.
This past Super Bowl, she was co-host. And then she also co-founded a nonprofit organization called the Winning Edge Leadership Academy. And that kind of helps, like, provide resources for women who want to get in the sports industry and, like, minorities. And, like, just helps them, like, sets them up for success. And I think that's really important, especially being a woman in this field. It can be challenging. And she's just really, like, gone above and beyond for herself and for everyone around her, and she just really inspires me, and I really want to be just like her.
Yeah, she sounds really empowering. What media does she work, like, for a specific media organization?
She used to be with ESPN.
Okay.
And then in January she moved to NBC.
Okay.
So,
yeah, NBC is good because they be covering the Olympics.
Yes.
And that was something I was really into this year. I really got into the Olympics this year. Well, I got into some of the Olympics. Like, when Shaun White was doing his last run, my eyes were glued to the TV. I had them tears. But
sad.
then other things beyond, like, I don't know what to say. Maybe skiing, but they, like, do it really boring. Bobsled. No, I'm not watching no bobsled.
Do you ever watch Cool Runnings?
Yeah, Cool Run. I'll watch that. I'll watch a movie about it, but I'm not sitting there watching 30 people going down the same hill, all going the same exact speed. But yeah, I like the Olympics. So good for her. Good for her.
Good pick.
Good pick. Okay. This one might be a little bit of a hot take, but okay. So I chose Tanya Harding. And okay, let's just get it out of the way. Let's excuse all the controversy that comes with her, and let's look at her as a person, okay?
Okay.
She worked really, really hard. Like, okay, her background a little bit. I don't know if y'all have seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can't look at movies and be like, oh, that's a
exactly
completely
what
true
happened.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, they do give you a good basis to, you know, go into some research and be like, oh, like they are based in truth somewhat.
They kind of like
it
spikes
gets
your
people
interest.
interested.
Yeah.
Exactly. It gets people interested, brings the story to life a little bit, and brings things back to the forefront. So it definitely did that with me. I loved the movie, and, you know, I was thinking last night, I'm like, who am I going to pick for my influential woman? Like, obviously I know the big ones, Serena Williams, Simone Biles, stuff like that, but I'm like, and they're great athletes, but I just couldn't, they're inspiring because they're so good, but to me, they just didn't really speak to me, you know? But, okay, so Tanya, she was born in Portland, Oregon, and I'm not exactly sure what year. I guess that doesn't really matter. But the main point is she had sort of a rough family life. You know, her mom was working multiple jobs. Her dad, I think, was out of the picture while she was pretty young. And it was really, really hard for her. But around age 3, she started skating, and she was pretty natural at it. Like, she got it pretty soon. But around this time, she was still dealing with an abusive mother, like, on the rink and off the rink. And what else was going on with her? You know, she started growing up and developing and getting into her high school years. She dropped out to focus more on her skating. She came from sort of a trailer trash place. You know, she didn't grow up in the best of conditions. Like, it was hard think about how expensive it is to do sports, you know? And then it's such a risk, too, to drop out. Like, you know, you always see, like, athletes nowadays, and you see them and they drop out for football or whatever, and
Yeah,
go to
it's
college
like,
to go straight to the draft, and it's like,
that's not guaranteed. You have one bad practice, you're done.
Yeah, and especially ice skating, like, that's such a niche sport. Like, it's not something you do, there's not high school teams for it, you know? So that, you definitely have to go to a pro level to even be able to compete in that. So, yeah, she just didn't have a stable life. She got married pretty young, but to sort of a trash guy because he was also abusive. But it's hard to get out of that cycle. You know, it's generational, and, you know, you emulate what you see.
Right.
And, you know, she even said, I saw an interview, and they're like, what made you like this guy? Like, what drew you to him? And she's like, well, he had a car and a job. I mean, when you're sort of down in the dumps, what more can you ask for?
Yeah,
like, so, also, you think about her, she's not the typical ice skater. She was not like an ice princess. She was not all frilly. She was a true athlete. Like, she was strong, powerful. You could see her build. Like, if you just look at pictures of her, she has an athletic build. She had to, you know, her mom had to sew her own costumes and everything. They redefined her image when she started getting the public light to make her, you know, more like, you know, PR. Yeah, PR. It's all PR.
Yeah.
So they did all that. And so, you know, I went into a huge backstory, but basically it's like, she's inspiring to me because she took all that negativity in her life and she channeled it into something great. Because I don't think I've done a good job of that in my life. Like, if I get negativity, it's hard. It's, like, hard for me to deal with, and I sort of shut down. So for her to just power through it and just have that goal in mind, I want to be the best. This is exactly what I want to do. It's really inspiring to me.
No, good point. Like, she's it to motivate her on this, and I think that's important. You got to be strong-minded, especially nowadays. But you get critiqued for anything and everything. Like, you have one bad day,
on the web.
You're trending on Twitter, you're getting bashed. So, I mean, you have to be strong. So,
yeah. And like I said, I mean, she, you know, there was the whole incident with Nancy Kerrigan, and, you know, that definitely didn't help her image at all. And after that, I feel like, you know, I'm not like a huge Tanya Harding follower, but I feel like after that, she sort of fell off a little bit. And that's because, you know, people judge you so quickly. Like, you do one thing, it's over. So, you know, it's sad to see her career had to go that soon, but it is what it is. So, moving on, next we're going to talk about some women of Texas State and just, you know, the San Marcos area, past, present, you know, we'll just get into the topic.
Yeah, I would like to recognize Janelle Fitzgerald on the volleyball team. She is phenomenal. Like, every volleyball game I went to, that's what I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to her. She led the team with 3.45 kills per set. She was ranked number 1 in kills in the Sun Belt Conference with 483 kills this season. She was the Sun Belt Conference Offensive Player of the Week 2 times. She was the 17th Bobcat to join the 1,000 Kill Club, and she ended up ending her season with 1,017 career kills. Like, she's just phenomenal, and she just is so aggressive, and the second she steps on that court, you just know that she's going to be carrying this team. She's going to be leading them to the victory, and it's just amazing watching her. And also, her dad comes out to the games, and he has his T-shirt with her on it, and it's the cutest thing ever, and I look forward to seeing, every time she does something, he's, like, already standing up cheering, and it's the sweetest thing to watch. So I really look forward to watching her.
I know, if I'm correct, she's a grad student too, right?
Oh, I don't know if she's a grad student or not.
I could be wrong. I
know I think she's a junior.
A junior? Okay.
I think she has one more year, and I think she might have the COVID eligibility.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's somebody else I'm thinking of then.
Yeah.
But, you know, along the lines of volleyball, somebody I'm looking at and I really like to see on the team is Emily DeWalt. She definitely has had a momentous, just overall career. She definitely has some accolades too. 3-time Sun Belt Conference Setter of the Year, and I can't remember what it was. It was some really great volleyball thing, but she's the only person, All-American.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All-American, and then it's like a 4-letter.
All-team?
No, it's like a 4-letter acronym about volleyball, but she was on the All-American that. And there's only like 16 people who make either the first honor, second honor, third honor, or honorable mention. She got the honorable mention, but again, there's only 16 people out of everybody who make that.
Right.
So she's the first Bobcat to get that. So she has definitely done a lot of good work. And I believe she's a setter. And so I feel like that's one of those positions, you know, it's not like Janelle Fitzgerald, you'll see her in the corner. You see her head for the corner, and you're like, oh, she's about to put some fire on that ball. She's about to send it down. But, you know, who gets that ball to her? It's got to be the setters. Like, I wouldn't say Janelle Fitzgerald is nothing without, you know, a good setter, but it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. So I really appreciate all Emily DeWalt has been doing. She, like I said, she has tons more accolades. I mean, I'm looking at, you know, her bio right now, and it's about 2-3 inches long at 11-point font. So she definitely has tons of accolades. Let me read a couple more. She was a 5-time Sun Belt Freshman of the Week. 5 times as a freshman? How long is a volleyball season? Like, come on. Let's see what else she has. She's been on some teams, like you said, the All Sun Belt Conference first team. She's been on that 3 times. The Mizuno Classic All Tournament team. She's gone some preseason.
Well, the person I picked, I'm going to go back in time a little bit. Not too far though. So I picked Taylor Deere. She was on the women's basketball team from 14 to 18. So not too far.
Yeah.
So some of her accomplishments, she was the 2018 Sun Belt Player of the Year. Sun Belt Conference Tournament Most Outstanding Player. And this article was written in 2018, so I think these are a little outdated. But on here, she made first team Sun Belt Conference 2018. She led, she was 9th all time in points, ending her career in 1,386 points. So I'm a huge fan of basketball, so I had to pick a basketball player. So, and all her highlights are on YouTube. She's an amazing player, so I highly recommend go checking them out.
Yeah, I have to look some up too.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you went back in time. I don't think I've ever heard of her, so that's interesting.
Yeah. We've had some good ones come through.
Yeah.
So, I
No, we
mean,
really have. And, we were talking about the Olympics earlier and going back a little bit. Kat Osterman, how can you not mention her? I mean, she's doing great. And honestly, to me, it's so incredible that she was here at Texas State. Like, that's something that everybody knows about. When you think of famous alumni, you think George Strait.
Taylor Sheridan now, Yellowstone, the creator of Yellowstone, went here.
Oh, really?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Eat 'em up.
My degree's about to look a lot better.
Yeah, I go to Texas State, by the way. And Kat Osterman, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, she basically put softball on the map, in my opinion. Like Shaun White put snowboarding on the map.
Yeah.
Kat Osterman put softball on the map. That's just my opinion, but I mean, she really made the sport popular. Because, I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they had a professional league for softball? And I'm like, they do. They do have a professional league for softball. It's just nobody looks into it.
Yeah.
And so they don't know. And they honestly make me second guess myself because I feel like I went to a couple games. It was the Akron Racers. And I'm like, when they say that, I'm like, I'm almost for sure they were professional games, so they'd be like gaslighting me, but I'm pretty sure they have a professional league. So, yeah, no, Kat Osterman, and, she's pretty local too, played in UT back in her college career, so it's nice to see her in the area, and it's nice to just have that connection to her as Texas State, because I remember when the Olympics came around, you were seeing posts on the IG page about her and like, oh, we love you and can't wait to see what you do. So it is nice to have that connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of softball, we got the team this year.
Yes.
And we got the season coming up. So, any thoughts?
It's been a really good, strong season. I think the girls have really put their all into these. I mean, they just had a weekend tournament in Arizona, and they went 4-1 in that tournament, which was incredible. And I mean, the only loss was to Arizona, and it was by 1 run. So it's like they really competed this weekend. Like, they're really on a roll. I think everything's kind of clicking at the right time, and I think when we get to conference play, hopefully it's a breeze the way we're playing now.
Right.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to lose by 1 run.
No, yeah.
It
It's a
keeps you
walk-off
up at
run.
night. Yeah. It keeps you up
But,
at night.
I mean,
what could we have done? What?
It'll be one of those that they take into the next game thinking of, and it's like, I mean, obviously they did, because that was the second game of the series.
Yeah.
No, sorry, third game of the series.
Third game of the series, yeah.
So it's like, obviously they didn't want to do that again, so they went out
And made adjustments and then came back strong.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, it was a good series. It looks like next up they're playing Texas A&M. That's going to be this Wednesday. So that's definitely going to be a game people are going to come out to see. I
Yeah.
mean,
Is it home or away?
It's
it's
College
away.
Station.
Yeah.
My bad. It's in
Station
College
Day.
Station.
I was gonna say,
I'm
that'd be a
sad.
good game to watch.
No, you're right.
But then we
I remember last year with baseball, A&M
Baseball
was
was
here.
here.
Everybody was trying to get into that game. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No, you're
get
good.
your hopes up. I got my hopes up. I was like, okay, maybe I'll go see it.
Yeah.
No, it's not here. And they're moving into conference play pretty quickly. Like,
Yeah.
right after that, they're playing Appalachian State, this upcoming weekend. So, they're moving into conference play, at least to me, it feels like pretty
Very
quickly.
quick.
Yeah, and it's a good way to move into conference play. It's a good way to coming off all these wins.
Coming off the wins,
It's
They can
what
go
you
in feeling
want.
confident.
Yeah, and it's like
Mhm.
that's exactly what you want. That's all they really can ask for, and that's what they're getting. And so hopefully these conference plays are just pretty simple game for them. They just come in there, do what they need to, and get out, and that's it.
Exactly.
On to the next.
Mm-hmm. And with softball and baseball, everyone loves football. Everyone loves basketball, but softball, baseball, you're gonna have a little bit of a hard time getting that fan engagement. So something I noticed they did that I think is a really good idea. They sprinkled like some non-conference games with some more well-known schools. I don't want to say better, but
Bigger. Just some bigger schools, yeah.
for sure. We got some Baylor in there.
Ooh, is that one at home?
I sure hope yes.
Yes.
March 16th if you want to go. I'm excited. I actually went to the Baylor game last year. That was in Baylor. Yeah, I went to it. I think it was softball. No, it might have been baseball. I'm sorry, my bad. I keep getting everything confused. We played Texas and Baylor again, UIW, and that looks about it.
So it looks like just conference after that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not just after. It's like sprinkled in between.
Yeah.
And where I was going with that was, I feel like that will get fan engagement up because they'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, well, they played this team, and like you said, they're playing Baylor and San Marcos, so people will want to go to that game.
When football played Baylor, how many people did you see that game compared to all the other games, you know? Like,
exactly.
bringing big schools.
Yeah, you see you come to see the other school, but then you leave with a feeling of, okay, they did pretty good. Maybe
I'm going to come to another one.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then, that fan engagement, you feel good when there's people watching you.
Exactly.
Yes.
You feel good. I mean, when you hear you hit that home run, it feels better when everybody's cheering you on.
Yeah.
Makes you want to do it again. Makes you want to do it again. Any more on softball?
I think that's it. Just the game on Wednesday. The weekend of softball and baseball.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm excited to see what the girls can do. And like no, I didn't say this yet, but we got some new people coming in, and like I said, there's some ones out there I really love, like Jessica Mullins. How can you not love her?
Yeah.
I mean,
she had a good weekend.
She had a good weekend. She had a good few years. I think she's a sophomore this year. You see Jessica Mullins go on the plate.
Just go home.
You just know. You just know. You know it's gonna be a good game.
Right.
So I'm excited to see her, and they might switch her out with some other people.
Yeah,
They especially do that in preseason,
Mhm.
to see how everybody's doing. But
Yeah.
maybe when they play some lower ranked teams, they'll bring out some new people. So I'm excited to see if we can Jessica Mullins 2.0.
Yeah.
We'll see where we go there. We got our two good catchers, Kat Krennick and what's her name? Caitlin Rogers. Caitlin Rogers.
Caitlin
Kat
Rogers.
Krennick and Caitlin Rogers. I love watching them. They're both good. And Kat Krennick always impresses me left-handed. Left-handed. And you look at her build, tall, skinny. I mean, you don't see that with a lot of catchers.
catchers, yeah.
You got to be low to the ground all
Yeah.
the time. That's got to be hard on the knees.
Right.
It's got to be hard on the knees being
Yeah.
that tall. You want a low center bound? She don't care. She's gonna get them out on second anyway. she really don't care. So I'm excited to see that. What other players? We got Sarah Vanderford. I can't remember exactly what accolades she's gotten, but I think she may have been preseason of the year, maybe. I could be wrong. But I know she's gotten some, so she's definitely a player everybody has their eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I'm excited to see some of the returning players, but some of them are gonna graduate here.
Yeah, you gotta. That's just inevitable. Like,
Yeah.
it happens every year. So. You just
And the
gotta
softball
adjust.
team was on fire last year. I think the Raging Cajuns were some of their biggest foes.
Yeah.
But, we were talking about it earlier. You always hear Louisiana come up.
I'm saying it's
Oh, yeah.
like a little bit of a little bug for us this
Little
past
rival,
weekend.
yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
In anything.
Any
so.
sport, Louisiana always seems just
Make
a little
conversation.
bit better. A little bit better.
Yeah.
But we'll knock them down this year, right?
Yeah,
Yes, we will.
for sure.
Yes, we will. All right. So we got one more segment, and I just wanted to talk about the industry of sports and women in it, because traditionally this field is really male dominated. I mean, you'll see that anywhere you go. I mean, teams, like, you won't see a lot of women coaches unless it's a women's sport. And then broadcasting, you mentioned with your girl, it was hard. It's hard for her to get into that field. And there's different expectations, too. It's not like, I always hear broadcasting, you see the guys can be a little more relaxed with how they talk about things. And it's fine. Like, they joke around and stuff. But, when you're a woman, you go in with a little bit more strictness. I need to know the facts. I need to be correct. Like, there's no...
And I feel like there's this unsaid higher standard
Yeah.
for the women, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, why can't I? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no... there's no grace. There's no excuses. There's
Right.
no people behind your back like, oh, well, she wasn't thinking. Oh, well, no, there's none of that. And so it makes it hard.
Right.
It makes it hard. And not only that it's traditionally male dominated in the sports field, you see these disparities. I mean, we mentioned earlier how lots of people don't even know there's a professional softball league.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people don't even know that. And I mean, you saw it last year during COVID times. I believe it was when they got to March Madness. Like,
Yes.
yes, you know what I'm
Yeah, I
talking
saw
about?
that TikTok about the gym.
Yes, they
Yes,
had
that
like
was
one weight rack.
horrible.
Yes.
And some yoga mats.
Yeah.
And the men had squat
They had
racks.
this, like, they had a whole gym, like.
I was like, dude, the women don't need to work out. I mean, are they
Yeah.
just here for on
Are they
vacation?
already that good? And if they're already
Yeah.
that good, like, why is it not co-ed? Like, why
That was horrible.
no.
Oh my gosh. And people were like making excuses.
Exactly. They're always making excuses.
And I'm like, that's Title IX. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, these are
Title
college
IX.
athletes. They're not out here just making their own money. Because I don't think at that point they were allowed to have their own, NIL?
NIL,
I don't think that was the
likeness.
thing back then or during that
It
time.
was just maybe in the works or
I
starting.
think they were talking about it.
But I was like, why are you not treating both of the athletes the same?
yeah.
They're
Like-
both in this big tournament.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
y'all
it was-
really
it was
looked
shocking.
at this.
It
Y'all
was
really looked at
horrible.
this
And said,
said,
"Good job, guys."
Okay, yeah, this looks normal. Nobody along the way,
Thought
was like-
maybe we should adjust.
you know, maybe it's because they had no women on the the council or whoever decides these kind of things. Maybe that's just another example of the disparities.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even on like those debating shows, like when they have two men debating and they have the woman like I guess like mediating everything.
Uh-huh.
She literally brings up a topic, but she doesn't get to speak on it.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, why is she there then? They mean,
Exactly.
They just want her to sit there and look pretty. I mean, they do, but I'm like, let them talk.
For
I'm
real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
You know, they gotta add diversity, but they don't gotta encourage it. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah.
They gotta have a good picture for the wall to
Mhm.
say, "Oh, look at us, we're so progressive." But
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, when in reality, there's all this behind the scenes stuff that is
Yeah.
just not going
It's
well.
one of those things. It's like literally everything is not what it seems like.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Like behind closed doors, it is not how you see it. And I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's
It's very
definitely
discouraging.
sad. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we've come far with feminism, but I feel like it's sort of stagnant nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, there were those great strides, like, oh, getting the right to vote, getting jobs, but it almost feels like it's backfiring now because women are allowed to have jobs, which is great, and they're allowed to have these basketball opportunities, but then they're also expected to perform all the traditionally feminine roles. I mean, y'all were talking earlier about this bubble thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want to go ahead and explain that?
Oh yeah, so when like the pandemic hit really hard and it was the middle of the NBA and WNBA season, they brought all the athletes to Florida in like a bubble basically,
Yeah.
so they could continue the tournament. They had finals. I think the Lakers won. Yeah, and so basically a lot of the women they had to opt out because they have lives, they have children, and a lot of them had to bring their kids in the bubble, whereas the men were just over there on vacation.
Yeah,
But they were in
Florida.
season though, so it was just so unfair. It was just so sad to see. Like,
'Cause
these are professional
exactly.
athletes. All of them are professional.
Mhm.
Like they're at the highest level, but the
Exactly.
men are
Yeah.
being treated like.
And I feel like
kings.
the men's bubble was more publicized than
Right.
the women's, you know? Like, I feel like not
Exactly.
everyone knew, like, oh yeah, the women's also had a tournament. Like, they also had this going.
Exactly.
And it was just, wasn't that whenever, it's so off, kind of off, but when LeBron's son was getting in all that trouble and stuff?
I think so.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that what it
I
was?
think so.
I remember talking about that. That was so funny.
Like,
But it's like, she was there
exactly.
at the house having to deal with it. He's playing
Out there
basketball.
in
Yeah,
Florida.
Yeah, in Florida.
They were
Like,
talking about how they have a whole barber in their bubble. I
What?
was like, what is going
What?
on? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
They were out there playing golf, fishing. Like they were making like ESPN. I think putting out videos, but they put out a video for women. It was them taking care of their kids. Like they didn't really show like them having. I don't want to say them not taking them taking care of the kids is not fun, But they weren't out there on golf carts, golfing.
No,
Yeah,
I
and
would
stuff
definitely
like
say
that.
taking care
They
of
still
kids
had
is not fun.
responsibilities.
Right, like they
Yeah.
didn't have an off time. Like the men had
Yeah.
off time. They were like they literally had to bring their kids in the bubble.
And
Yeah.
you know, I bet another thing, I'm not sure, but I bet another thing was, like, the administrators of the bubble, I bet they were not jumping at the idea of, oh, let's get childcare, let's see what
Oh,
we
yeah.
can do to help. I bet that was just an unforeseen thing.
Like if you want to compete, you have to bring your kids, or don't bring your kid. Like
It's either bring them or
find a
opt
way.
out.
Yeah.
And like the pay is already bad, so I'm like you're opting out of like what are they gonna do?
Mhm.
yeah,
It was so sad. It's horrible.
Well, anybody else got anything?
No.
Well, I think that's about all we got for this Women's Day podcast. Like I said, if you have a woman in your life, go thank her. Tell her good job, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's just not
Yeah.
equal. But, you know, we're getting there, and especially in sports, I hope we see some more advancement, some more equality. But, you know, a lot of it does just depend on, you know, engagement. So that's the biggest thing. I hope we see more engagement with
For
women's
sure.
sport, more press, because the media really does make a big difference. So I'm going to say thank you for watching. Again, my name is Tabby Keat.
Preslie Davis and
Kayla Guillory.
Thank y'all for listening, and happy Women's Day. This is Claws to the Wall.